Taoiseach, it's clear that over the last week, even before Brexit negotiations begin between the UK and the European Union, that attitudes on both sides are hardening. And a hardening of attitudes, of course, brings with it an increasing likelihood of the outcome that we certainly don't want in Ireland, and that is of a hard Brexit. The posturing on both sides, and indeed the selective leaking of the dinner between Prime Minister May and Claude Juncker, are only serving to increase tension and make the impending negotiations even more difficult than they will be anyway. The hardening and nationalistic approach has already provoked the major British supermarket chain, the Co-op, to declare that they will only stock British beef on their shelves. And while they don't currently stock Irish beef anyway, if others follow suit in the UK, then the consequences for the Irish beef sector are very clear. And I would expect that the Ministers for Enterprise and the Minister for Agriculture will be raising these issues to ensure that this does not become a trend. In the forthcoming negotiations, Taoiseach, Ireland needs to be an advocate of a calm, measured but a firm approach to those negotiations. You will be aware, Taoiseach, of the survey published today by Chartered Accountants Ireland, which deals with the level of awareness and the level of preparedness of Irish businesses for the customs issues that will inevitably arise if the UK leaves the customs union, which seems a near certainty. The results are indeed striking and should serve as a wake-up call for the government, and to give you the realisation that the government needs to be doing more to help businesses prepare for the fallout from Brexit in terms of the UK leaving the customs union. The survey found a startling lack of practical customs knowledge and indeed a lack of understanding of the issues that will arise from the UK leaving the customs union. Customs is, of course, primarily a self-assessment tax, and with almost 25 years now of the single European market, businesses have not had to deal with that issue, and there seems to be a distinct lack of corporate knowledge on the island of Ireland about how the customs system will work. And the crucial point is that even in a scenario of a soft Brexit, and even if no trade tariffs apply, significant onerous obligations will be placed on Irish businesses to comply with the new customs arrangements that will apply. So it's very clear, Taoiseach, that we need, at an EU level, to secure a funding mechanism to help Irish SMEs with the cash flow implications that will arise from compliance with new customs arrangements and indeed VAT compliance as well. We need a programme of education and resourcing for firms to deal with significant extra burden of costs and compliance that are going to arise, and we need to secure agreement that the common transit area, which is key for Ireland to export to mainland Europe via the UK, is protected and is part of the negotiations. So what I want to know, Taoiseach, is what are the practical steps that the Irish Government is taking now to help businesses become more prepared for the serious and inevitable consequences of a Brexit of whatever form that may take.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
Thank you, Deputy. Well, obviously, those points that you made are well understood and indeed have been acted upon by the Government in all our preparations and work that has been done in relation to Brexit. And the fact that the guidelines and the whole approach from the European Union at present, the fact that our priorities have been so clearly reflected and stated, is a testament to that. I think everyone has to agree with that. Our priorities that we have highlighted again and again in all our discussions and all the bilateral work that was done, our embassies abroad, our ambassadors, our Minister for Foreign Affairs, and each individual minister has highlighted those priorities, and it has been accepted that those priorities need to be protected going forward. The intention of the Government now, of course, is to intensify our efforts and to focus on the economic implications of Brexit. It's not where we want to be, obviously. We don't welcome this decision that has been taken by the UK, and it does have serious consequences, but we want to mitigate those as much as possible in the Irish context. And we will be focusing now on those economic implications because we want to reinforce the ongoing competitiveness of the Irish economy. We want to protect it from the negative impact of Brexit, and we will pursue every possible opportunity to ensure that that happens. There's a further paper on the economic implications of the Brexit challenge being prepared by government, and that will draw on all of the work that has been done across government departments and will reflect the core economic themes that the Taoiseach and others have outlined. And that is that we need sustainable fiscal policies here to ensure capacity to absorb and respond to the economic shocks, not least from Brexit. We have to have policies to make Irish enterprise more diverse and resilient, to diversify trade and investment patterns, and to strengthen competitiveness. And all of the actions the government are taking in recent decisions are to support those goals. Priority to the policy measures, dedicating resources to protect jobs and businesses in the sectors and regions most affected by Brexit, and realising, as I said, the economic opportunities arising from Brexit and helping businesses adjust to any new logistical or trade barriers that arise. All of those are our priorities. You mentioned a particular issue in relation to the co-op and that announcement by the UK retailer. It is important to note that the co-op chain in Britain is not currently a customer of Irish meat exporters. Minister Creed and the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine, along with Bord Bia, are very conscious of the need to ensure that we have ongoing engagement with customers of Irish products in the UK, and that is ongoing at the highest levels.
Deputy.
Yeah, Taoiseach, that's all very broad and very general, but you haven't dealt with the core issue that I put to you. We have a stark illustration in today's report of the lack of preparedness of Irish businesses for the UK leaving the Customs Union and what that will mean to them in terms of their day-to-day operations. Increased costs, increased regulation, increased compliance requirements, increased complexity and potentially barriers to trade. Now, what I'm asking you, Taoiseach, is in practical terms, what is the government actually doing to assist those businesses on the ground to prepare for those challenges? Because my real concern here is that the focus of the negotiations over the next 18 months or so will be on the terms of the exit, and that trade will come after that. Well, that's of no comfort to the tens of thousands of Irish workers who are dependent on trade with the UK on a day-to-day basis. So what is being done in practical terms to assist those businesses make the preparations that they need to make, including the inclusion of the common transit area in respect of the negotiations that are about to get underway?
Clearly, detailed discussions are being held with all relevant stakeholders and have been held over a long period. You've seen that at the all-Ireland conferences that we've held with the various stakeholders and with businesses north and south, east and west. I mean, if I take the example, for example, of the Department of Agriculture, you've talked about the issues in relation to the agri-food sector. What is the Department of Agriculture doing? For example, there is, as you know, a dedicated Brexit unit examining these issues, dealing with the businesses who are exporting. IDA, Enterprise Ireland, are working with these companies, examining the issues, and there is a Brexit response committee comprised of all the different department divisions at present in agriculture. There's as recently as the 11th of April, there was a meeting with all of the stakeholders in the agricultural area. Close consultation with Bord Bia, Bord Iascaigh and Enterprise Ireland is ongoing. Additional resources given to those bodies to help them work with the stakeholders, explore the issues, prepare for them. Bord Bia and, as I say, Iascaigh and Enterprise Ireland. That's already extra support to deal with Brexit-related issues have been given to companies and to those bodies. So those are all the practical things that are actually happening right now, working in detail with business, giving extra resources to those who are charged with managing and supporting business and the challenges that Brexit will pose.